There's nobody else at the damn hotel. And we kept looking at one another going like, so what do we don't know that everybody else knows? And I remember from then, we just hustled to get all our stuff, got in the car, got out of there. And yeah, we ended up, but I'll never forget that because I just remember going like, yeah, you know, Doug, like I think we kept making jokes about, it was really tasteless, but a giant bomb attached to our car. And we were just like, because we were the only ones there. And it was just like, everybody else was gone like by damn, like 7:30 in the morning, you know? So, but, so anyway, that's what I remember. Kevin, I wanted to tell a story, a very simple story. Last night, I actually wrote out 20 Kevin stories, at least. I stopped at 20 of different episodes. I've known Kevin since 5th grade. I remember him and his brother throwing the softball throw at the Ignacio Valley Elementary sports day. And I remember these two lanky, like redheads throwing this ball. I'm going, oh, who are these guys, you know? And that's when I first met Kevin. And then we were also in the Boy Scouts together. And I figured out last night, we have the same educational pedigree. Both went to Ignacio Valley Elementary, Oak Grove Intermediate, Ignacio Valley High, Chico State. I think you went to Diablo Valley Junior College too, Kevin?
Yes.
DVC. And then Berkeley. And so now that'll explain a lot. I went to a few more schools. I was a bit of a college dropout, I guess, nomad. And so anyway, but I just figured that out. So, but the story I wanted to tell you was, this story will solidify for you the silliness, the stupidity, the creativity, and the general friendship that we had. And it's a completely dumb story, so it'll fit in. And what it was when Kevin and Carrie lived in the flatlands of Berkeley, one Saturday, Doug had come down from Mendocino, and there was a Cal USC game on. And USC had kicked Cal's ass for about 300 years. So anytime we would even get close to beating USC, we were just happy as clams. And so we're watching this game, and I believe we're at Kevin's house, and we're all having a pretty good time. And suddenly, I think it was Doug invented the USC turkey throttle. I will demonstrate. Throttle. So imagine there's a giant turkey in front of you dressed up like a USC football player, and something goes wrong in the game. You would grab the turkey, Doug would grab the turkey by the neck and go, woo! And then throw the turkey into the abyss. And we thought this was the funniest goddamn thing in the world. We were so pleased with ourselves. We were laughing. And as it went on, you would leave the TV and I would hear Doug in the kitchen throttling a turkey. And then I'd hear Kevin in the bathroom. And I'm going like, there's not a live turkey in the city of Berkeley right now. This is crimes against turkeys. And it's like, we're destroying them all. And the entire time laughing. And we each developed a unique turkey throttle. Doug grabs the turkey. He would go, and then with a shout, go, and the turkey would fly up to oblivion. It was that sent the turkey going. Kevin, similar, but a little calmer. He would grab the turkey, and then maybe eye it. He always gave it the eye, like the turkey knew Kevin throttled him. Okay. I was a little more subtle. I developed the one-hand turkey throttle. So let's say you're drinking a beer. Throw it quickly. Let's say you're getting a chip. Let it go. Later, and there again, we thought we were funnier in hell, and we had a great time. Matter of fact, at one point we were laughing so hard we were crying. I mean, I don't know what would have happened if any, like anybody else would have walked in like, what are you knuckleheads doing? But we thought it was so funny. And to this day, I think all three of us, if we ever look at one another, I know, and just go, oh, we know, oh yeah. And even now in the day of COVID, when everybody's masked, everybody, like somebody cuts you off in traffic, you don't want to flip them off. You don't want to get shot. I'm in Virginia. You don't want to get shot. Okay. But you can always give them a good turkey throttle. So driving along, somebody cuts you off, whoop, windows open, throw that turkey out the window. Woo, and there again, I would say this too. I think if we ever would have been committed, I mean, as I say, this was total, I was thinking about this is like crimes against humanity, crimes against turkey. We would have all ended up the Supermax in Colorado. Doug would have his roommate would have been the Unabomber. Kevin, maybe Charles Manson. I don't know, who BLT killer, whatever, But it's like, we were like, it's like, but to this date, we just thought that was funnier than hell. So I wanted to see if we could do a quick turkey throttle for Kevin. On the count of three, everybody just grab that imaginary turkey, a quick throttle, and throw it into the universe. 1, 2, 3. There you go. And for some of you, I know there's a couple who may not know us and may never want to know us again. Just so you know, we appreciate you tolerating us, and we're happy to be here. Thank you, Kevin.
Great, Cap.
But why didn't I get invited to that?
Yeah.
I don't know, Jim. I didn't know if you were there or not. You might have been there. I don't know.
Cap, I know you got a lot of stories. You can always return later to drop a few more in, because Kevin and Cap, as he said, go way back to 5th grade, and they've shared many an adventure. That's for sure. So, Dan, you wanted to talk a little bit for a few minutes, and Dan Sullivan, you want to take it away for a few minutes?
Yes, thank you so much. Zora, great to see you. I just wanted to say a few words, and I will keep it brief. And I just wanted to start out with one of the most important things is that, Zora, we love you so much. And while Cap said he may have met you in 5th grade, I can safely say without regrets, I've known him my whole life. So, I mean, it's not a competition.
A good point, though.
But one of the things I wanted to say is, first of all, Kevin, you have been such an amazing influence on my life in more ways than I think could be explained in such a short period of time. Just for anyone who's here who's unaware, I am Daniel Sullivan. I am son of Michael and Jeannie Sullivan. Unfortunately, Michael can't be here right now, but he sends his love, mucho macho. But the thing is that I grew up on this land occupied by my mother, Steve Scudder, Doug Nunn, anyway,
Your father.
my father, yeah, him too. Hey, Dur. Stevie, you're here.
We want to say Ed Blackburn and Stevie Scudder have just joined the team. So continue on, Dan.
I'm so glad, Stevie, I'm so glad you're here. But growing up on this land has been fantastic. But the one thing that is so important is the outside influences of people who have been here constantly. And I feel like Cap really nailed just about all of them growing up together. And something that was crossing my mind when I was trying to figure out how to basically say what I wanted to say is I grew up around, Stevie and I grew up around the pinnacles of cool. And Kevin, you have kind of been a centerpiece of that. I mean, take Steve McQueen's label away because you are kind of the king of cool, King Zor. But that being said, some of the most important times of my life have been talking to you. And you and I have had great conversations just over the years. And it always seems so kind of like it almost comes out of nowhere. And one of the ones that I remember so much is when you were here for my wedding, and Kate and I were my wife Kate were leaving for our honeymoon. We had to leave under cover of night. Like I was waiting for someone to put us on a horse behind a barn and get us across the Iron Curtain. But I remember I came over to Doug's house and you were there and still awake because I wanted to see you before you had left, and you were still awake. It was 1:32 in the morning. You came outside and I just said, dude, thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. And you gave me a hug and just said, oh yeah, I love you. And it stayed with me longer than I thought emotional crap would. I was on the plane to Hawaii, and all of a sudden my wife woke up and looked over at me, and I had my head in my hand. You know, the I'm not crying face, just this.
Yeah.
Kate said, what's wrong? I was like, nothing. It's just, I'm really glad that King Zor was there. And I think that a lot of the humor that I find in everyday life has come from not only all of you, but specifically you, Kevin. You've really always kind of been someone to look up to as cool. And that's all I wanted to say. I love you so much, and it's great to see you.
Well, thank you, Dan.
And I believe Mom would like to say hello.
Oh, yes, I would. Two quick things. One is, Kevin has pointed this out, that I met Kevin before I met Mike. Remember, Kevin? We played
Yes, I
tennis.
do.
I think it was you and Raviz challenged me and my roommate to a game of tennis. And then probably a week or so later, I met Mike or something. I don't know. That was a long time ago. But
long.
and we have had so many good times since then. Like Doug said, Kevin, you always bring the life to the party. And so along that note, if you remember when you and Carrie came over and met Mike and Dan and I in Hawaii and Maui, and we drove to Hana, and from the time we left the parking lot until we got back late that night, we laughed so hard. I don't think I've laughed that much before or since. It was just a small car with the five of us packed into it, and it was probably rocking on the road. We were laughing so much, and that is an excellent memory.
And that's a long road. That's a long road.
It is.
It really is.
A lot of laughs.
Yeah.
And Mike is not feeling good. He sends his best, and maybe he can send you a text or something a little later.
All right.
Well,
Thanks,
I tell you
Jeannie.
what,
Go ahead, Kevin.
the feeling is mutual.
Oh, good. We've had some good laughs, good times, wonderful times.
Yes, exactly. Wonderful.
And
Anyway.
one thing I wanted to say before we concluded is, Kevin, in the weirdest way, when I was first looking for a house and I looked at Oakland, I was kind of back and forth about like, well, I don't know if I'm going to move to Oakland and everything. And I looked at where my house was and everything, which was 15 minutes walking distance from your old house And I honestly thought to myself, well, if Kevin's good with it, I'm good with it.
Yeah,
Good
Yeah.
to know that was,
yeah.
because it was a really a special, just a bip and a bop. And
Yeah.
a hip and a hop, a bip and a bop.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Bip and a Bob, before we put Mimi's slideshow on, I want to point out, Kevin, for a while, you did some scat singing with a band, right?
Not really. I mean, yes, I did some scat singing, and in a bip and a bob and a boop. That's one of yours, Doug.
Beatly bop.
Yeah. 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 Well, Mimi, would you like to show your slideshow then? I think I've
Yeah.
got it set up so you can share the screen now, I
Okay, so I
think.
just go down to share screen. I'm sorry, you
Yes.
guys. Before I
Yes.
start, I just want to say that I kind of did this. I was thinking there were going to be enough people in Kauai that I was just going to go through and sort of give a history of Kevin before he left for his new life. And so I made this slideshow for that. So you guys are going to know all this stuff probably, remote, a certain
Good to see
percentage of it. But I'm just going to do it, and it's going to sound a little scripted because I thought I only had 4 minutes and the whole thing's timed. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm sure there'll be stuff people don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and put it up. It's just really my history with Kevin.
Great.
So let's see. I'm going to go Adobe Premiere Rush and share. Again, I had to learn new software. Here we go. All right. And let me see here. I met the musician king, formerly known as Kevin, in the summer of 1976. Not surprisingly, at a party, through the dubious character on the left you already know, Bob Kapitoff. I was beginning my senior year as an art student at Chico State, and months later, Kevin decided to come up there to add his college credits. It was an ideal environment for having fun, a lovely town in the middle of nowhere with a national party reputation. I used to work alone nights at the ceramic studio on campus. Kevin and my roommate Michelle used to come down and visit, and after a minor amount of convincing, we'd retire to a college hangout called Canal Street, conveniently located next to the art department, where we would study diligently over pitchers of cheap beer. The first photo that I have of Kevin, please note, smoking was not allowed in the classrooms, not even back then. Several years later, probably around 79, Bob, Kevin, and I were out of school and living back at our respective parents' houses due to the recession, with meager incomes and few job prospects. So naturally, we formed the Live at Home Club. My oldest brother referred to us as the Suburban Mod Squad. This consisted of Bob picking Kevin up in his 1966 Malibu, affectionately named the Boo, driving over to my dad's house, who was gracious enough to open his bar for one drink before we drive off to the pool hall or some other adventures. We were the three of us single with menial jobs, dying to get out of the house to spend our crap wages on some fun and laughter. Whenever I want to remember that summer, Kevin, I listen to Tom Waits' Looking for the Heart of Saturday Night. It perfectly captures that relatively carefree moment in time. Well, as you all know, we all wound up with real jobs and, in my case, a mortgage. I can't fill in the early 80s without mentioning the fact that Kevin was always attracted to creative women. Before he met and married Carrie, he dated two of my friends from art school, not simultaneously, fortunately. And I'm pleased to say that Brenda and Marnie are still my friends. I want to say that I did not include Carrie's pictures here because she's very photophobic. But Carrie changed his life for the better. I was honored to be best gal at their wedding, and I will just show this band of goofballs instead. And everybody knows who's there, but I will say the happy groom are MC Doug Nunn, Doug Manchi, and Mr. Michael Sullivan. So from then until Kevin and Carrie moved to Hawaii, there were more memories to be made. There were many Christmases, the New Year's, the 49ers parties in Berkeley, the milestone birthday parties, and the annual Japanese festival in August that would start out at his sainted mother's, and I really mean that, house down the street. But my favorite event was Halloween. Kevin and I just didn't love and share music. We loved to dance. I brought the cassette tape funk, and he brought the fun. I could always count on him to keep dancing when everyone else pooped out. He was frequently some version of a gorilla, and it literally suited him. Probably the last Halloween party Kevin and Carrie came to before they moved, people were asked to come dressed up as a song title. Well, turns out we had two devils in a blue dress. I have to admit, Kevin wore his proudly. Kevin has inhabited many personas. He's been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a fantasy and redheaded Italian movie star, and finally was a king. My dad used to say, I sure get a charge out of that, Kevin. He's such an effervescent, polite soul. It's become increasingly difficult for most of us to be positive, to be optimists when we see the world is on fire. We need to remember the good times to get through what we're all experiencing these days. But I want you to know that for as long as I'm around, when I search my memories to look for that heart of Saturday night, Kevin, you're always going to be there, right in the heart of Saturday night.
That was lovely, Mimi.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mimi.
Barkley kind of ruined it with the barking.
Be part of it.
Oh, well.
Oh, buddy.
It was
Thank
lovely.
you.
Three
Thank
cheers
you,
for
thank
Mimi.
you.
Yeah, that
Very
was
nice.
great.
Good job.
That was great, Mimi. That was really nice. Very, very nicely done. There's Ed has joined us and Stevie has joined us, and Joel, I'm not sure we know each other. Do you old buddies with Kevin from Oakland?
Let me.
Kit, go right
Joel
ahead.
is Kevin's nephew. He is Keith and Darcy's son.
Oh,
and-
okay. Thank you.
And then this is my daughter, Claire.
Great.
So he has nieces and we supportive on all generations.
That's great. Well, that's great to see. Hi, Joel, and hi, Claire, and hi, Keith and Darcy, and of course, Kit's there. And I know Tim's listening on the Timophone, isn't he?
He's on the Timophone.
Yeah, there you go.
He's playing the timpani.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Would anybody else like to share an anecdote or even a Zor moment? Because I know you all have them. Oh, Barbara, please.
Well, I was remembering when I think this is when I first met you, Kevin, was at the 1976 Oakland Coliseum Who and Grateful Dead concert,
Oh,
right?
God. That was so many moments. That was a time.
Yeah.
That was a time and a half right there.
Yeah, and I don't know how many years ago somebody did an article in the San Francisco Chronicle online. Like now I can't get on. I wanted to find it again, but I had screenshotted a picture of just the whole, like I couldn't believe how crowded it was. And I zoomed in, I thought, is that us? So I sent an email around. I don't know if people got it, but I don't know, is that us? Was that Mimi? Is that you? Anyway, I think that was my first official date with Manchi. And yeah, and I'm trying to remember who all was there. I'm old and I don't remember, but I don't know. You said, I feel like I've known you forever. And I kind of got mad, like, wait a minute, am I so blank that you, but then we talked about it and I felt like you were just saying how comfortable I was with the group. And I had just dumped my boyfriend before, and he was backstage and he had someone come out and say, come for me to come backstage. And I decided to stay with you guys, big fork in the road for me. And I was glad I did. And I was glad that you let me be a part of the circle of friends. And I was saying, I think I married Doug because I liked all his friends so much.
Fantastic.
That's
Yes.
great. Ed Blackburn wanted to share a few moments.
Yeah, well, it's hard to single out any particular events because it's always been so much fun to be with the Zor. And I think humor has been the underlying factor to just about every endeavor. But a couple of them, one, it was my 40th birthday and Karen had organized a surprise party for me. And it was Cap and Zor's job to distract me. So we went downtown to the Blarney Stone to have some drink. And I had no idea there was a party. And I thought the party was at the Blarney Stone with the three of us. And they had a hell of a time getting me out of there because we were having such a good time ourselves. And I truly thought that was it, you know. And another time, this was sort of, I guess you could call it a semi-musical event. It was at one of Mimi's parties and somebody set up a karaoke machine. And Zora and I were doing some sort of duet. And I don't remember the song, but it quickly turned into just an improvisational duet that was totally crazy. I totally enjoyed it. It was totally whacked. But yeah, humor has been the deal for sure. And, you know, a great heart. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, buddy,
Sure. Go ahead, Zora.
I was just gonna say, and I mean this from the heart. You just have rocked all the time, and you know, the musical times, the musical the musical cut. There's so much. No. So I again with the words. Fantastic. Papoof. And it's like really yeah, I'm gonna try to stop sounding and just go on loving you guys.
Yeah, I love you too.
Love you.
Thank you,
Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah.
You got it, Kev. Is there anyone else that would like to share a story or a salute or anything in particular? I know there's people out there who want to say, Kevin, I know four people actually who wanted me to say hi to you. My old comedy partner, Tracy Burns, she couldn't be here today, but we invited her and she wanted to send on her best to you. As many good times were had with you, and she was sharing the same space with you and having huge laughs. And of course, my wife, Christine, is in the other room babysitting our granddaughter right now. And so she wanted to pass on. And very pointedly, I told my mom and dad that I was going to be on with you today. And mom and dad, who always enjoyed you very much. In fact, my mom always made me laugh. And she goes, oh, that Razor, he's a great guy. She always used to, you always charmed the older women, Kevin, and you did a great job at that.
My dad was a fan. Yeah, well,
So,
my dad was a fan too.
Oh, yeah. So I know our parents were always fans. You always, you were a snappy dresser and you always, you know, even in your hippiest of hippie days, you were always kind of a neat hippie. So I think that impressed the older
Well,
crowd.
he was very polite. Very
Yes.
polite. Always had manners. So Dad dug that.
Yeah. Please note that Kit and Tim and Keith, Kevin was a very polite boy. He followed in the Twyla and Ken tradition there. So I want to point that out. So Cap, do you have any other stories you might want to share or anything in particular?
I got at least 20 stories. Well, I tell you, I'll tell you another story I was thinking of. This has to do with me, the greatest, besides Kevin driving us all around Scotland.
Yeah.
Kevin also, me and Kevin also experienced one of the world's greatest ride from Lodi, California, Concord, California, 40 miles. I looked it up on Google today, just roughly about 40 miles, Lodi to Concord. And the story is such. We had gone, Jeannie had invited us all to the Lodi Grape Festival. So we go to the Lodi Grape Festival and, you know, drink wine, drink more wine.
Just a little nipper or so.
And there was like Ferris wheels and stuff, a lot of skinny guys with tattoos. It was pretty fun. And at the end of the night, we're all going our separate ways. So me and Kevin had come in my square back Volkswagen. We get in the car. we take off, I think just the short, and all of a sudden the engine goes, but I'm pushing on the accelerator, but it won't go anywhere. And it rolls to a stop and I'm going, so in a Volkswagen Squareback, the engine's in the back. Kevin takes off the lid. We look at the engine, and apparently there was this wire that goes from the pedal to the carburetor, I think. But anyway, it snapped, wouldn't work. Kevin goes, I can work the accelerator if you can switch gears and drive, and we can team this all the way back to Concord, 40 miles. And I went like, there's nothing dangerous here. Yeah, we can do that. So we take off, and Kevin is laying down in the back of the Squareback going, where I go, faster, Kevin, faster. He was running it with his fingers. I don't know how he did this. And we're driving along, and we're passing cars going, well, after about 30, 40 minutes, we realized that we're asphyxiating ourselves with carbon monoxide that was coming out from the engine. So we're going to die, pass out, crash, kill, burn. We don't want to do that. So we pull over, and I think this was Kevin's idea. We pull into an A&W root beer, and we buy a big thing. It was a cone. It's like a, like you'd show it, of root beer. We drink it. Then Kevin makes it into a snorkel, opens the window in the back of the Volkswagen, sticks it out, and is breathing. I have all the windows rolled down, and we're driving, and Kevin's, and I go faster. We're done. The scariest part was we turn off 4 for some reason, and we come up over Kirker Pass in the Concord, and then we're going down. Where Kirker Pass is like this, it seems like. So I'm in the front seat going, and it's like the Star Trek episode. I'm going, I need more power, because I was sweating bullets. Like, if we stall on this road now, we're dead. There's no Hawaii, there's no Zoom thing. We're dead. And we're going, and Kevin's like, boom, we make it over the top. Then it's equally as scary, because we're zipping down this road, and I'm trying to brake it, and Kevin's trying to like give me enough gas, and we're talking to each other. Long story short, we make it to my parents' house in Concord. Somehow we both get out and then just sort of sit in the street or on the grass for about 30 minutes to get all the carbon monoxide out of our system. And then I think I must have given him a ride home in my parents' car or something. And then I came back. But to this day, one of the great automotive experiences of my life. Thank God A&W had those things. Thank God I was with Kevin, and we made it the whole way. So that's the story.
Another one of the King's Or stories.
Another one of the greats.
Yeah.
Kevin, were you involved too in the transmission went out when Doug and Simon and I don't know who all was at the Renaissance Fair? He used to always tell that with the code hook when the transmission went out and somebody fashioned a code hook into.
It's classic.
I might have missed the that one, the Renaissance one.
It sounds like the handiwork of Kevin. It does. So just in case, we're going to give you credit for that one, Kevin. It sounds like one you might have pulled off. So anybody else?
What's this?
Hey, coming from the land here. Did Stevie sign off? I had to step away for a second.
It looks like she did.
She texted me and wanted me to say best water balloon fights ever.
Yeah. Kevin, for those of you who don't know, and I'm not sure Kit and Tim and Keith know, but I've been ballooned by Kevin, and it's not a pretty sight. And you're picking balloon shrapnel out of your hair for days after that. But the most of the time, we got him on our side. And I remember one of the many balloons, you see that picture that's above me to like that direction. and that's Kevin on the left at the top. We developed some excellent launchers, and that's Kevin, and that's Cap pulling the balloon back. So we had developed some excellent ones, but at one point we were, it often ended up girls versus boys. Somehow, I don't know how these things do. And we had been attacked in our house by the girls, who went away laughing and giggling. And then Kevin, Cap, and I spent much of the next couple of hours filling balloons. And we went back and counterattacked. And I'll never forget King Zor dancing around with one of those Monty Python type square things where tying the hanky on all four corners, dancing around, holding balloons up like this, taunting the women in Jeannie's house. So what that man is capable of, I'm just saying. So
I'm just saying.
One thing I will say is that, first of all, Stevie just texted me and said, "You said it right." But something I will never forget is one time during the water balloon fights, and I must have been all of 5 years old, barely able to ride a tricycle, and I was basically Tiny Tim for the Dickensian fans out there. But I will never forget Zor walking up to me down the path that I am pointing out right behind me with his arm behind his back, just going, "Come here. Come here." And I, for some reason, you know how the mind of a toddler works. You're sitting there going, "You don't have a water balloon, right?" And he was like, "No, here. And still behind back. And I was like, "Well, he said he didn't have a water balloon behind his back. All signs point to no. I'm assuming his hand is behind his back because he's a gentleman and everything like that." And then without warning, I was blindsided and pulverized in the face.
In the face.
Oh, like the classic case of learning your lesson.
Child abuse.
Of terrorism.
Yeah.
Don't trust
Aqua
adults.
terrorism. Yeah.
Well, hey, Daniel, also, and for everybody, that your mother sitting next to you, Jeannie, I remember that same night, her crawling on her belly for an hour, trying to get at us because we were sitting around the fire and nobody knew where she was. And she was like hiding in the bushes, like slowly creeping. And like, oh, she's capable of anything.
She ballooned our
Post us in the
campfire.
dark and then nail us in the back.
She ballooned our campfire and knocked it out.
You guys are blending
Clever.
years though, because when Dan, was 5 years old, the one you're talking about, that was pre-pregnancy, I was young and stupid. That's why I could crawl through the forest.
Well, I mean, you've had good years, but I specifically remember I might have been 10 years old when you totally went Martin Sheen and did the full Apocalypse Now pull-up moment.
I think that was Kevin.
No, yeah.
A classic.
Anybody else have a quick Zorian anecdote?
Well, I'll just add a couple things. I want to
Please,
note
Jim.
that the first time I met Kevin, or at least my first memories of Kevin, are when he and Mimi were roommates at Stanford Street. And we would once a week get together for art night. And we'd all work on our little projects and do art and drink beer and have fun. And from that day forward, I knew that Kevin and I would be buddies for life.
Yeah.
It was some great times. I should add that Mark and Brenda wanted to be here,
Yes.
but it's Mark's birthday and they had an afternoon planned and couldn't make it. So they wish you well.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that I'm glad to hear that sorry about that. I really do. Anyway, yeah, thank you, Mark and Brenda.
Well, we'll get the recording to them.
Yeah, there you go.
I want to say, Kevin, typical of Doug Nunn media techniques, I started the recording when I finished my part because I noticed I hadn't recorded anything yet.
Yeah.
So I recorded from Kapitov on. So anyway, so there is about 75, 80% of it is there. So I'll try to get it
And
up
that'll
on
go out
YouTube.
to all of us in the chain.
Yeah, I can put it on YouTube and then it'll be up there for you. So,
I think you should repeat your part.
yeah. Well, I had the overall intro for Kev, so there was that. And of course, the Scottish driving techniques. So,
Yeah.
but, anyway, anyone else?
Kevin, I just remember many nights at Lucy Lane.
The many nights at Lucy Lane.
Yeah, me coming home from work late and you
Oh,
all
God,
came to the
those nights.
party and you introduced me to I don't know if Doug has got that song or not, but I liked, in those days, Outlaw Country and Peter Frampton or something, and you were playing jazz and classical music.
Yeah, classic.
I'm home and I wasn't there with that music, but there's one song I'll never, it's you. I'll never forget it, is that Les McCann and Eddie Harris.
Oh, great.
Compared to,
Yeah.
Yeah, you introduced me to that song. I still remember you dancing and singing to it, just having a good old time.
Yeah, that's a classic version of a classic song.
Yeah.
And it'll stay classic forever. I get well, it's a classic song, and you
And it's
really
you.
can't.
It's
What's
you.
that?
It's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got the jazz beatly bop going on.
And yes. That was compared to what?
Yeah, compared to what?
Yeah.
That was
Thank
just
you for
one-
those great times.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Kevin, you've introduced all of us to a lot of music, and I made jokes earlier about, me being kind of a starchy, kind of middle class boy, and I was, and I am. But you introduced me to lots of tunes that, you pushed the limits for us, I think, for a lot of us, and I think you did a great job with that. So thank you for all of that. You kind of everybody's DJ. And I think in a lot of ways, when you went to KKCR, I mean, that's what you brought with you. You brought that magic, that spreading tunes around the world. So, anyway. Anyone else?
Tunes for the King of Life.
Yeah.
The jukebox of life. That's what we used to call it.
The jukebox of life.
Jukebox of Life.
There was a
Yeah.
that's a got a concept, got an idea. That fired me into the idea of that you could have a concept and just straight up it's just straight music and yeah,
Make that a big part of your life, definitely.
yeah.
Did you introduce me to Kevin Ayers, Kevin? I think you did.
I believe I might have.
Mhm.
I believe that I did.
Mhm.
But everybody gets.
One thing. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Dan.
Kevin, one of the things that I thought about, I've been doing the math in my head, just trying to figure it out. Kevin is the reason for the first time I heard Convoy by C.W. McCall.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I think, you just reached around.
And I don't- I'm not entirely sure what the circumstance was, because I was a wee child, but for some reason it was on and I said something to you and you said that's C.W. McCall. And all of a sudden I was like, who is this Chris Christopherson?
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyone have any last thoughts? Because we don't want to wear the king out. I know that we had talked about doing this for an hour. And but it would be if anybody has any last, I just wanted to say some of the things that I've thought about is Kevin kind of puts the joie in de vivre for me. And I think he's been one of those guys over time that's done that for a lot of us. And generally a great guy all around. And, you know, look at, you've been a fixture in all these people's lives, and that doesn't even count Hawaii. So, you know, so many of these people were invited and they all came, which is pretty cool, Kev. So, you know, just so you know.
I appreciate everybody who just like of all the nice kindness of the shrinking, really the bringing the joie de vivre. That was nice, Daniel.
You know, Kevin, I also wanted to mention that Mary Berry also, I told her about this and she just said, I'd love to come, but I don't think I can take it. And I just want to say, you know, one of the things you and I used to share were our love of you know, we used to get made fun of because we were so crazy about the rings, the Tolkien. We shared our books. And so I want to say to you, go in peace. I will not say, do not weep, for not all tears are evil.
Yes, indeed.
Love
Gandalf.
you. Love you.
Yeah, completely appreciate and share, and all in all, that's it, you know.
Kevin, did you keep writing too? Do you have writing that you had been doing? I remember that as a big part of you too. I think of
Yes,
that.
definitely. I don't write anymore.
Did you
And,
save?
Pardon me?
Did you save all your writing?
Clothes? And no, I didn't share. It's expensive and really it doesn't
Well, I learned a lot from you from that, and I enjoyed talking to you, all the talks we had about books.
Yeah, that's just yeah, writing and expensive hoarding, not hoarding, but and it's just like they say it, or try to say it, and just keep trying to say it's difficult.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we love you, Kev.
Buddy,
We love you,
always.
Kev.
Love
We
you,
love
Kevin.
you.
Sounds like you're getting tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
It'd
time.
probably be a good
We
good
love you,
time.
mucho macho.
And I want to thank Mimi for those words as well, the last one. So, you know, we all think the world of you, Kevin. You're a great guy. And I'm glad that Joel and Claire, the next generation, got to see all your friends appreciating you. Their Uncle Zor, I guess you could say. So
Uncle King.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Uncle King.
King.
So just know when you're up there in DJ heaven that you can play tunes for us and we'll hear them. We'll hear them
Yes, we
some
will.
because that's what you did for us. You made lots of people happy for a full life. So we're all happy to have known you, and good luck in these next weeks. And we hope that you're awake next Sunday. The Hawaiians have a chance to celebrate you in the style that they get to. So anyway, we love you, Kev.
Love
Thank
you,
you,
Kevin.
Kevin.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kevin.
Bye,
Yeah.
KZ.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Donna.
Rosie Hayes, for helping with
Nora's
Kevin.
great.
It was
Definitely.
wonderful.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank
And,
you.
Good night.
Bye, you
Good
Good
guys.
night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Good seeing everyone. Love you, Kevin, always.
Same here.
Aloha.
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 See you later.
Aloha.
Don't want to hang up.
Don't want to hang up.
Bye.
Trying to, Kevin, I'm
Uh,
actually trying to turn off the music here, turn on the music for you, and I screwed up. Typical Nunn. That's why you want Kevin on the board and not Nunn. So, you either of you guys want to say any last minute things to KZ while you're on with him? Ed
Just-
or
Just love you,
Jim?
bro.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everything.
it was a good time when we were there. I was glad to see you when we were there and a few months ago, and we're thinking of you.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, every one of you. And yeah, equal parts love and gratitude. And I can only say this. Aloha.
Aloha,
Okay.
KZ.
Aloha.
Aloha.
All the best. Bye, Kevin. Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha.